Hey everybody, I'm here with Manu Bennett at SuperMegaFest 2013. Hi, how are you?
I'm great, mate. I'm in the city of the world champions of baseball.
Yes. Are you a Red Sox fan?
You know what? I kind of growing up, I got introduced to basketball by a cousin of mine, probably when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I remember watching the Boston Celtics, you know, and seeing Larry Bird and those guys playing, and yeah, it's funny how something like that comes into my mind when I was living in Australia as a child, but it's taken me this long to actually get to Boston.
This is your first time?
Yeah, man. Yeah, you know, I know all about the Boston Tea Party now.
Nice. Good. I'm glad you're learning some American history.
Yeah, I'm getting it.
Cool. So of course you played Slade Wilson on Arrow.
Correct.
Which is one of my favorite shows right now. It's awesome. What would you say is the coolest part about playing that character?
Probably the funniest part about it was that I had no idea I was playing Slade Wilson when I first arrived in Vancouver. I'd done this audition and it all happened so fast, and I was at the Hobbit premiere in Wellington, and I got a phone call the next day saying this company wants to fly you to Vancouver to do this role. So, you know, I got up there, and then my manager told me at the airport that it was like Deathstroke that I was playing, or Slade Wilson, and I was like, who? And the guy behind the counter at the customs office was like, you're playing Deathstroke? And I went, and he went, man, that guy's like the badass of the DC comic world. And that's literally how I found out that that's the name of the character that I was playing. But, you know, since then I've, you know, read the DC comics sort of, you know, history of the character, and, you know, like, he was the original Terminator. I mean, they referred to him as the Terminator, so a lot of people think that James Cameron created Terminator based on, you know, Deathstroke. So, you know, there's a great responsibility that I'm looking forward to, you know, bringing to the franchise some real strength to that character. Yeah.
Cool. And have the, like, I know you can't give too much away, of course, but have, like, the writers or producers said anything about how you will definitely become Deathstroke at some point, or do you know?
Oh, look, you know, everyone's holding their cards sort of close to their chest about the evolution of characters on this show. You know, most of the time, you know, what makes sense will make sense, you know, and you just got to think about it like that. But, you know, there's definitely a lot of interesting things happening by about episode 8 in the second season.
Oh, nice.
So no spoiler alerts, but just watch episode 8, you know, onwards. It's about to happen on television. You're about to see it, so.
Awesome. You're right. We're almost at episode 8.
You can stop asking the questions after a certain amount of time.
Cool. Go watch episode 8, folks. Thanks. That's a good tease.
Episode 8.
So, you played a lot of kick-ass characters, including another one of my favorite shows, Spartacus, Crixus, of course. Let's say all the characters you played were going to have like a big battle. Who do you think would win? Who would win out of all the characters?
I think Azog would probably just trample them to death, but probably Crixus would have a good swing at him, and I don't know, Slade Wilson might just pull out a gun and shoot him like the old Indiana Jones trick, you know? So, you know, it depends who's got weapons at what time, you know?
Right. You know, I just realized those 3 characters, though, would be like unstoppable if they teamed up.
It'd be a funny thing, you know? I mean, it's, yeah, you know, I mean, I keep on wondering how I sort of got into these roles, you know? Because when you mention them like that together, you know, I sort of sometimes have to stop and think, wow, you know, like, you've stepped into the shoes of Crixus, and now, you know, then Azog, and now Slade, aka Deathstroke, and yeah, you know, I mean, I sort of went into acting sort of from ballet and stuff like this, and thought that maybe I was going to be in more sort of sensitive kind of, you know, touchy-feely roles, but you know, there was some of that to Crixus. And you know, it's yeah, but you know how I've ended up in this brand of sort of a go-to guy for the tough roles or whatever. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but you know, I enjoy it. I mean, there's always a really great, you know, power to acting when you can sort of bring all that strength and then sort of reach all the other way of the spectrum to sort of being sensitive in some way, you know what I mean? So it's a great challenge, yeah.
That's awesome. So I actually didn't even know until recently you were Azog in The Hobbit, which is awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that after the first film, because when the credits came up, I just appeared with 3 other names on the screen, and there was no Azog mention. But in the second movie, Peter Jackson actually agreed that I'd get the title, you know, Manu Bennett as Azog. So
nice.
I think the penny's going to drop finally after Desolation of Smaug, you know. Yeah.
Awesome. When you do that, is it like just you alone in a booth? Do you have any other actors to work off of when you're doing voice work like that?
Motion capture is all about just working in an environment by yourself in motion suits. You know, because really all they're doing is they're just absorbing a skeletal reading of your movement, and then they have a camera that goes over my face that does a different reading of my facial movement. And then later on, after the physical elements of the character are put together over pretty much just an avatar mesh, which is my shape and my movement, but they just create Azog. It's like I'm painted, like body painting, but in Azog's, you know, features. After that, they put it onto the film, and then several months later, I do the voice separately. Yeah, so I go into a recording studio and do ADR, you know, additional dialogue. Yeah.
Very cool. So you were with Lucy Lawless in Spartacus, and I didn't realize this until I just looked at your IMDb page. You had starred with Lucy Lawless earlier in your career. It says in Xena.
Yeah. Well, so that's where Rob Tappert saw me fight with a sword for the first time. You know, I mean that's where it's really important. You know, young actors. But you know, if you get an opportunity, you know, early on, it can be that opportunity that then leads into something years later. Like, you know, I did, you know, Xena maybe almost 10 years before Spartacus came up. But you know, 10 years later, you know, I've got Rob Tappert, the producer, ringing me up going, Manu, it's time again to work together, you know, which was groundbreaking, you know. I mean,
that's awesome. He just remembered from back then that you really did a great job.
Well, during that particular episode of Xena, I was like hitting all the stunt. We made this agreement that the swords were made of rubber, so we could just hit each other as hard as we wanted.
Nice.
So we were just whacking each other, and it was funny. And the safety officer came in and went, "Stop! You're not allowed to do that." And you know, then 10 years later, you know, Rob Tappert's ringing me up saying, Manu, you have to promise not to hurt Andy Whitfield, because we know 10 years ago on Xena you were really aggressive. And I was like, oh yeah, I promise.
Wow, you remember that well, yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't keep my promise. I kind of would hit people quite often.
Nice.
But that's what made the show good. You know, we actually brought so much reality to the gladiator nature and the fight scenes that, you know, I mean, everyone was at home just going like, wow, they're beating each other to death. Well, sometimes we were very close to doing that.
Awesome. So I do a web series, which is called Super Knocked Up. It's about a supervillain and a hero who have a one-night stand and they have a baby together, right? So these two enemies have to raise this kid. I know, it's a big problem. Yeah, it is. If you were going to pair like any kind of hero or villain or two characters who are enemies together, like romantically, who would you choose to put together from any world?
Maybe Pebbles and Bam Bam.
Well, they always kind of had the thing, right? Later on, they were going to get.
They must be in their 40s by now, you know.
Right. They're taking care of Fred and everybody, like when they get older. Yeah.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. What happened to Pebbles and Bam Bam? How come they didn't have a spin-off series? Anyway.
Yeah. Nice.
There's Darth Vader without his.
Oh, it is.
Finally revealed.
Cool. All right. So one last question, just for fun. Between you and Stephen Amell, who looks better with the shirt off?
Oh, Stephen, for sure.
Oh, really?
That guy's chiseled, you know. I'm just a worn-out gladiator, you know.
Nice.
I hold my own when it comes to, you know, other stuff.
You do. That's true. He has a shirt off a lot though.
He's a good-looking young guy, you know.
Yes.
It sells the show.
Yeah, girls don't mind it.
And he works hard for that. Steve's a great actor. He's a great co-worker, and he looks great. I'm glad for it. You know, it makes our show work.
Well, I love what everybody's doing that show. Again, it's absolutely one of my favorite shows right now, and you guys in the second season, I think, are taking it up even more, and I really love where the story's going. So.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm glad we're popular and that people are enjoying it, and it's great to come to these Comic-Cons, and sort of slowly I'm starting to sign more Arrow pictures than Spartacus pictures, so that's an indicator that Arrow's really taken off.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's a good sign. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.